But it was also this type of thing that I had to keep as a secret. I didn't want anybody to know. And as a Christian young guy, hitting my teens and heading into early adulthood, it became this source of shame and struggle and guilt. And there was never a devotional that I had, because I learned, the Adventists taught me, man, you got to spend time with Jesus, you got to read your devotional. Well, I would do that, and I would read my devotional, and I'd pray to God. And then the focus of my prayers in general had to do with, God, help me to break this habit that I've developed. You guys all know, I haven't said it yet, but you know what comes with exposure to porn. The whole reason we have porn is for masturbation, right? If there's no porn, in general, there's no masturbation. But porn kind of helps, right? It's the arousal thing. In fact, most young adults today who are looking at pornography, and there's a large percentage of us that are, or of you that are, the reason you go there is out of curiosity and out of arousal. You need a high, or we need a high. And so, sure enough, that's sort of what's going on. So I would pray to God and beg God, Lord, just take this thing away from me. I don't want to struggle like this. And I would go along for a little while. Everybody kind of knows this sort of cycle where you're good, and then, you have a crash and you fail. And for a large part of life, man, I just struggled that way. There was never a Bible camp, never a summer camp at the end of the week appeal. There was never a special week of prayer that we came down and the pastor asked, if you want to come forward and accept Jesus. There wasn't one of those things that I didn't go forward for, because I knew I had this struggle in my heart with lust and with pornography and whatever there was. I just wanted to be free. I didn't want to deal with this. At the same time, though, there was that desire. There was that draw. And I wasn't really sure what to do with sexuality and all those things. There's a couple of things you begin to believe. One is you begin to believe that you're the only one that's struggling. Surely I'm the only guy. The other thing you begin to believe is kind of the myth when we struggle in this way, is that if I just get married, then the problem will go away. Right? So that's a couple of things that we begin to believe. And so for me, I decided at that little church school, and then as I was coming along through the Adventist system, I went to an academy, I went to Ozark Academy, and then I would come here eventually. But all along, I sensed God moving me towards ministry. I want to be a pastor. That's what I want to do. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, I'm kind of conflicted. I have this struggle. How can I do pastoral ministry and struggle with this? Turns out, that's the direction that I would go, is ministry. So I would take this secret, quiet, sort of shameful struggle into pastoral ministry. Now, there's a part of me thinking that, man, when I become a pastor, maybe I'll be so spiritual that it won't be a problem anymore. But it turns out that it was. And so I graduated, became a pastor, and there I am. When no one's around, no one's looking, I'm struggling, quietly, still my deep, dark secret. It's beginning to sort of escalate and grow out of control. It's beginning to become more and more and more. Now, the other thing is this. I did find that young lady that I wanted to marry. And so about the same time that I got into ministry, I got married. And I believed the myth that, man, once you get married, that's a legitimate outlet for your sexuality. And then you will be okay because you will have that need met. But remember what I said at assembly. It's not a sex problem, it's a soul problem. There's something going in that's tweaked and messed up within us. Or perhaps there's a wound. Perhaps there's a trauma. Maybe there's a brokenness within that somehow you're trying to medicate and take care of and salve that wound. So here comes my wife. This young, barely 20 years old, innocent, pure young woman from Topak, Arizona. Y'all don't even know where Topak, Arizona is. It's in the middle of nowhere, okay? Literally nowhere. My wife's parents still live in the same house that my wife grew up in. That's abnormal. That doesn't happen. It's in the middle of the Mojave Desert. Middle of the Mojave Desert. In the summer, I refer to it as hell. All right? Hell. It's 120 degrees. 120 degrees. And my wife's like, this is great. I love it. It's the desert. I'm like, oh my Lord, right? That's where she's from. That's where she's from. She's coming from a fairly stable home. She has her own messes. Everyone's story has some messes in it. Your story, my story, we got these ugly places. Her mom was pregnant with her at the age of 15. When the guy found out that she was pregnant, he left the scene, never to be seen again, at least not by my wife. He still lives to this day about 10 miles from where my wife grew up. But he refused to see her. Didn't want to see her. See, we all kind of have these traumas and this brokenness and these messes in our stories. And the question becomes, and the challenges for us come when we have to deal with those. And we'll either deal with them in an appropriate, healthy way, or we'll kind of medicate them all through life and deal with them in inappropriate ways. We'll be driven to do certain things, or maybe to achieve great heights, not because of the beauty of the great height, but because there's something inadequate, or something that we feel that's inadequate within us. Maybe something was stolen from us very early on. So here I was, newly married, young, innocent wife, beautiful person, inside and out. And it wasn't but about, 2 weeks when she went off to work to do her thing, and I'm at home alone, and lo and behold, there I go. Back to the same old ways. And so now the lie, now the darkness of the sin has an even more powerful hold. Because now I'm concealing it from this person who I've covenanted with in marriage, who I've stood before a pastor and said, I will be faithful to you until I die. Man, can I pause just for a second? I cannot even tell you how important it is when you think about getting married, and I know some of you are. When you think about who you're going to marry and spend the rest of your life with, who you're going to covenant, not with just your church and your minister, but with God, to love and to be with and to grow in intimacy with for the rest of your life. That is a heavy, big deal. Now, I'll never forget, I remember reading so much stuff about getting married and so forth. And it's real, man. You gotta, it's huge. I can't tell you how huge it is, how big it is. Because it can either turn into the most beautiful love story, or it can turn into a living hell, man. So you think carefully, and those red flags that go up, and that, that little thing, that anger that comes out every now and then, that sense of inadequacy that you have, that he or she makes you sort of feel. I mean, think about that. Do you want to feel that way or be that way the rest of your life? If he's pushing or she's pushing, if she's manipulating, if there's lots of drama, do you want to be that way the rest of your life? So here I am. I'm already starting to act out. I've been married just a short time. I'm a pastor in full-time ministry. This pornography that started, that was the seed that was planted at 9, is now beginning to sort of blow into something so much more. It's beginning to churn. The lie is becoming much deeper. Here's the power of pornography. It fractures you at a very deep level. It's generally secret. And where there's secret sin, it will break you apart. In particular with pornography. Whereas most people say it will actually enhance intimacy, it doesn't enhance intimacy, it destroys intimacy. It's an enemy of intimacy. Don't fall for the lie. It's straight out of hell, man. The culture will tell you, bring some porn into the bedroom. It'll make things better. You'll have a great orgasm if you include some porn. Woo! Everybody will love it. It'll be a great thing. No. You will find yourself traveling down a road to destruction and to despair. Couple in one of my churches, a number of years ago, the guy in the couple came to me and he said, man, I struggle with porn. I know your story. Yeah, I struggle. Yeah. But my wife also is into porn. Ooh. So we kind of have this thing together. Now, for a minute, he thought he had like died and gone to heaven. I like porn. My wife's into it too. Woo! Yeah. Great thing. But they were coming to me because their marriage was falling apart. They were coming to the church looking for help because things were starting to unravel. They told me a story one time about how they would be in church and they would write little notes back and forth to each other about what porn movie they were going to watch that night together. You see how deceptive and how crazy that sexual sin can get, and how porn can get. Eventually, it led to a divorce for them. Pornography is an enemy of intimacy. Sexual immorality is an enemy of intimacy. It destroys it. So eventually, as my wife and I in a young marriage would begin to grow into this marriage, she would begin to sense that something's wrong. Ladies, women's intuition is the real thing, baby. It is. Trust it, go with it. I think it's like the Holy Spirit or something, all right? It is. Because when you think something is wrong, it usually is. And my wife, though young, has that women's thing going on. And she couldn't put her finger on it, but she knew that her husband was there, but he's not really there. He's there, but he's not really there. There's something. There's a barrier between us called porn. There's a barrier between us that's going on here. I don't know what it is, couldn't put my finger on it, but I know he's there, but he's not really there. Because porn eventually it hollows you out. It makes you empty. It makes you unable to relate to the people around you. You just sort of become this shell. You become rather empty, hard to relate to and engage with. It kind of steals you away. And that's what began to happen. Now, the hardest part of this whole story that I'm sharing is this part. Because the day that I dreaded would eventually come. The day in which the secret would get out. And to the person I never wanted to hurt ever in my life. And that was my wife. I'll never forget the day. We had high-speed internet that had finally come along. Amen for that. But that only helped to increase the problem for me. So I was unable to keep track of everything. And so it was one of those times where I didn't clear the history and I didn't clear the cache. I didn't cover my tracks very well. My wife hopped on the computer after me. And she clicked on that little drop-down menu. She saw all these little websites that I've been to. And she was blown away. Her heart was crushed. She was sickened by what she saw. And it took her a couple of days to work up the courage and to kind of deal with the shock of it all before she confronted me. So she said these words to me, words that strike fear into every married man on the planet. She said, "Honey, we need to talk." And she said it in such a way that we need to talk. And so as we were climbing into bed, she said, "I saw stuff on the computer. Is that you? Is that what you've been doing?" Now, addicts lie. You gotta understand, people who are addicts, we lie. We will lie to anybody not to get caught. If the addiction is strong enough, and deep enough, you will lie. And in that moment, I wanted to lie. When my kids were too young, I couldn't blame it on them. So there I was, and in that moment, I was sorry. And I was sorry that I hurt my wife. And it was rough. Tears streamed down her face. I began to weep, and it was awful, dark, just ugly. And porn had began what it does, and that's the destruction of intimacy and of relationships and what matters most. And there it was, beginning to head in that direction for me. Now, the saddest part is I was sorry I got caught, but I wasn't sorry enough to make a change. So over the next 18 months, she would continue to find more and more stuff. And I just sort of rip back open that wound every time.